I think if you're talking about girls specifically, I think a lot of the sexual actions or acts that go on with girls are pretty much, you know, unspoken about. They're pretty undercover, and you know, a lot of girls do have boyfriends, but it's all very hush hush. You know, families can't find out. There was an Egyptian guy who was an American Egyptian, but he liked to think of himself as quite religious, and he used to pray like 5 times a day. And he did suggest it to me. He was like, you know, I don't want to do something that's haram and forbidden, so, you know, do you want to do that with me? And I was like, no. But I said to him, have you done it before? He was like, yeah, I've always done it with.
And is there sex education or?
No, there's no sex education. You can get anything with money in Egypt. So if you've got, you know, if you've got money to pay for the pill, you go to a gynecologist and he'll give you the pill. So, yeah, and actually abortions as well. I mean, I know that you can go to a gynecologist and have an abortion, and he will quite happily do it for you, even if you're not married. So, it's not that restricted in that sense. But I remember once I had my cousin came over to swim in our pool, and didn't really think it was a big deal because he's my cousin. He swam with me, he swam with Aya, and he stayed for the day, and he stayed over, and we've got, you know, quite a few bedrooms, so he slept in one bedroom, we slept in another. And then I think my cousin from next door, one of my other cousins.
Female or male?
Male, from, because this cousin that stayed over is from my mum's side and the other cousin's from my dad's side. I think he rang my dad up in England and started telling him how, you know, he's staying over and it's not right, and, you know, we don't know what she's doing with him and all the rest of it. And my dad just absolutely went mad. He went absolutely ballistic, and I was like, he's my cousin. He's like, no, he's not, he's a man. And I was like, no, he's my cousin. You know, and he totally made it out to, even though he was my cousin, it wasn't, he didn't see it like that. It was like, he kind of made it to be out like it was dirty. The fact that he's my cousin, I felt like, oh, he's my
There's
cousin.
trust there also.
Of course he's allowed around. I didn't really, but you know, and I just thought it was really quite a devious and, you know, evil thing for my other cousin to actually phone my dad and make it into such a big issue, when he should have known, like everybody else, that I didn't fully understand the extent of the culture and society until that point. And I just couldn't understand what my dad was saying to me. I was like, I don't understand what you're saying. He's my cousin. Like, that's really sick. You know, it's disgusting, actually. It makes me feel, like, dirty. And I think that's what a lot of girls are made to feel, like, if you have sex, you will be dirty. And it's, you know...
There's a lot of fear.
But not even just sex. If you do sit in male company, you're also dirty.
Yeah, but the devil's around. Temptation's around.
Yeah. I think my cousin did get stopped. I was actually sitting. It was funny because we actually got stopped by the police. We were sitting in the car. We were driving actually, and they stopped. And they were like, yeah, so, you know, what are you doing driving? We were driving home from a club. We went out clubbing and he was driving me home. And they were like, yeah, what are you doing? Who's she? And everything. And I had to like...
Can the police do that?
Yeah, they can do that, yeah. And he was like, oh, that's my cousin, because I think at those points, because I was actually quite scared. I was thinking, oh my God, you know, I don't want them to treat me as an Egyptian, because I think if I was a pure, you know, I didn't have any other like nationality, I don't know what the consequences could have been. So I had to make sure they knew that I was British, firstly, so they couldn't do anything. And I think I don't know what he was saying to them, but he was speaking for quite a long time, and that's when I started getting worried. And then after that was it. And
so there is the sense that because we're part Western, either we've lived abroad, we've got dual nationality, or we're half another nationality, you do live by slightly different rules.
Yeah.
Like for your cousins that have never been to England, that have been brought up in the village or whatever in the local area, their lives compared to yours is a different experience.
Yeah. And it's funny because a lot of the excuses they would have for my behaviour, for example, say silly things like would go on the beach and I would be the only one wearing a bikini, and they would say, oh, it's okay, she's, you know, Emma's so she's allowed to, she doesn't know. And they said that a lot about me, like, you know, the fact that I would go out with them. I would go out with a group of guys because most of my cousins are male, and they would tell their friends she's not from here, just so they knew that I wasn't some kind of like slut or something. They made it very clear from when I met all the this is my cousin from England. And
did the other girls resent it? Like your cousins, did they ever bring up the fact that you could do things that they couldn't?
I've only got a couple of girl cousins, and I think they're a lot younger than me. They're kind of like, you know, 18, 19, so you know, they're not old enough really to, and even if they were old enough, they're not allowed to. They're not